You are listening to the Julie Parker Practice Success Podcast, where you discover management insights and strategies for a successful dental practice. There are also interviews with key people in the industry who have advice and services to help you and your team achieve great success. Welcome to this week's episode of the Julie Parker Practice Success Podcast. And what I thought I'd do today, because we are at the tail end, well and truly, of 2021, and we're moving into January in just a few days' time, and it is a classic time for establishing goals and trying to create a plan moving forward. So the coming year, 2022, we start to actually achieve the things that we know inside of us that we're truly capable of. And back a number of episodes ago, episode 9 of the Julie Parker Practice Success Podcast, I was joined by JPPS co-founder Charles Kovess, also Australasia's passion provocateur, and he spoke to us about goals, goal setting and goals achievement. So I thought I would republish that episode today so it gets you primed, ready for the coming year and get the mindset right so you can start making sure that you've got plans in place to make 2022 a really big year for you. Tony Robbins, the motivational guru from the US, always says that progress makes us happy, and I couldn't agree with that philosophy more so. And I have got a workshop, a 3-hour workshop coming up on Wednesday, the 5th of January. It goes from 9 to 12 o'clock. So a big morning session there. That's Australian Eastern Daylight Saving Time. It costs only $49 to register. But what happens during that 3-hour workshop is we go through how to actually identify the goals that are good for you from a personal perspective, so personal lifestyle goals, but also goals for your practice. And then we're going to create a step-by-step plan in order for you to approach those goals from day one in January and move forward progressively through the year, achieving those very goals. We're also going to talk about overcoming the things that stop us from achieving the goals. Again, those personal goals, overcoming the stuff within us to actually achieve those goals. But also, what can we do within the practice for our practice goals with our dental teams to overcome all the barriers that stop progress in that scenario as well? I'll be running through some productivity and time management hacks with you as well that have worked for me brilliantly, because I think that is a big part of creating the time to actually spend and devote to goals achievement. And I'm going to give you some really powerful tips to stay on track for the whole year. And so, as I say, you're going to come away with a true plan of identified goals, how you're going to get there, what you need to do every day to get there, and a whole bunch of hints and tips that are going to help you on your way. If you are interested in jumping on board with this workshop, just go to the Julie Parker Practice Success website, which is julieparkerpracticesuccess.com. or .au, they both go to the same place, and you'll see a link there where you can register for your goals achievement workshop. Remember, it is Wednesday the 5th of January from 9 in the morning to 12 midday, 3-hour workshop, and that's using Australian Eastern Daylight Saving Time. I do hope that you will join me and others so we can make it quite interactive. So we're going to be doing a lot of work during that workshop so you've got that concrete plan moving forward. But otherwise, I hope you enjoy this really interesting and insightful discussion with Charles about goals, and I look forward to seeing you on the 5th of Jan. The co-founder of Julie Parker Practice Success and Australasia's passion provocateur, Charles Kovess. Welcome to your first podcast episode with your own company.
Thank you, Julie. Delighted to be here.
Now, Charles, I thought the month of July, just like the month of January, is such a key time for everyone to be contemplating what do we want to achieve for the next year or financial year. And what I would love to talk about today is something around goal setting, something about how do we get from here to there? What do we need to do? Are you able to help us with this topic?
Yes, I think so. And since I'm Australasia's passion provocateur, I have spent a lot of time with a lot of different people and teams on this whole question of goals. And I don't think we need to go back into the history books of, hey, when did people discover goals? You go back 2,000 years ago, the ancient Romans had a goal of dominating the whole planet, and they took over vast amounts of Europe, of Northern Africa, of the Middle East, and it was one of the most successful civilizations of all time. But they had a clear goal. They said, that's what we want to achieve. And then they'd go to war, and then there'd be a goal. And then, through European history, through the last 2,000 years, we look at countries having goals, and then Singapore becoming independent of Malaysia, and then Lee Kuan Yew wanting to have goals. So when Singapore became independent in 1965, it had a goal, and the country adopted the goal that was articulated by Lee Kuan Yew to become the financial hub of Southeast Asia. And so goals, I think it's clear, are useful things to do. And then Year 12 students who are in school this year, their goal is to achieve a particular outcome. And you can talk about outcomes and goals and results. I look on them as goals because I have a very simple mind, Julie. I like keeping matters simple. And one of the principles that governs my behavior and my thinking is Albert Einstein's principle, which was to make things as simple as possible, but no simpler.
Nice.
To make things as simple as possible, but no simpler. If you make it too simple, that's called being simplistic. But I love the idea of simplicity. So for me, goals are simply the idea of, hey, I'm going somewhere.
So what are your thoughts around how big and grandiose certain goals should be, or how realistic and next step short-term goals should be?
Well, there are two elements, aren't there? So there are the personal goals and there are the organisational goals. So if we're talking about a dental practice, we need to make that distinction of what does the owner want for the practice and what does the owner want for his or her life. So let's play. We'll go back to that distinction. The question of how big goals should be is a really interesting one, because statistics suggest that most people are very unclear on their goals, generally speaking. Of course, members of Julie Parker Practice Success are all encouraged to be really clear on goals, but really most people have lack of clarity around goals because they don't know how to work them out. They don't know how to take the steps to achieve them if they've worked them out, and it all becomes too difficult and life takes over and they simply live day to day. Now, there is a concept called BHAGs, B-H-A-G, which you know well. Big, hairy, audacious goals. And, one of the questions around passion and around our mindset is, am I going to go for a big goal or am I going to go for a little easy goal? And that is a very complex question depending on the person who's thinking about it. So let's explore what some of those will be. So firstly, I am firmly of the view that having goals is crucial. Why? Because each day, each week, each month, we have to make decisions. And those decisions are directly related to the goals that we're trying to achieve. So coming back to the Year 12 example, if I have a goal of getting an ATAR of 60 when the maximum is 99.95, I can have a bludge year. That's my goal. It's hardly a goal at all, and I can do whatever I like. But if my goal is an ATAR above 98, then I will be making decisions on a day-by-day, week-by-week basis that are totally different to someone whose goal is a very low achievement. Now, why go for a big goal? Why should I put myself under pressure? And then, why not just take it easy? And I think the answer to that is each one of us has got amazing capabilities, amazing genius. Albert Einstein indeed said every child is born a genius, and yet most of us don't act like geniuses. And inside us is this amazing capacity to achieve big goals. But if we don't believe we can achieve them, then we give up on those goals and we go for little goals. And this question of big versus little ties into our self-image, our picture of ourselves. And we go, oh, no, I couldn't possibly achieve anything that big. And that self-awareness that goes, gosh, why aren't I going for a big goal? We haven't articulated what the goals yet, but should I go for a big one or not? Well, how do I feel about myself? And then this self-awareness then ties into the question of what do I believe about myself? So we then get into beliefs. So this question of I might have a big goal that I'd love to achieve, but I don't believe I can achieve it. Or I might even have beliefs that I'm not even aware of, that in fact I don't believe I deserve it. Deep in my subconscious, I might be thinking, no, stop being so stupid. You are nowhere near deserving of that. So there are conscious beliefs, and then there are subconscious frameworks, there are subconscious beliefs that stop us going for the game that we really would love to do, or we have this suspicion we could do it, but there are too many blocks in the way. So that's a broad framework for starting small goals or big goals. There's one other benefit of going for a big goal, and that is that you will inevitably grow in trying to achieve the big goal, even if you don't actually achieve it. So
I think that is a magnificent insight, because just like everything in our lives, we need to go through the process of trying things, making mistakes, modifying our behavior, modifying our approach in order to get really good at it. Why isn't goal achievements faced with that same challenge? Of course, the first goals that we achieve, we haven't yet learned what we need to do within ourselves in order to achieve those goals. And so even if people have made any size goal in the past and they haven't achieved it, I wanted to quit smoking, I wanted to lose weight, I wanted to start exercising every day, I fail. What's the point of continuing to try? And the point is, because even goals achievement is a process of learning how to do it.
Yes, and it's the framework so that we beat ourselves up because we have these goals. We say, I never achieved my goals, so I'm not going to bother anymore. So the past failures reinforce that decision not to set them. And therefore we fall into a pattern of mediocrity rather than having this perspective, this mindset that says, I cannot get better without failure. I cannot get better without failure. So within a practice, so personally that's the case, and within a practice, and so all the people that are working in a practice, as a practice, we cannot get better without failing. Best example, simple example of that is golf. Here we are we've just had the US Open. I know those listening to this podcast later, US Open Golf, the British Open Golf is coming up. How many mishits of golf balls do golfers do to become professional golfers, let alone when they're competing? And they make the most amazing errors. They fail time and time and time again. And the other example is gymnastics. to do a move on the pommel horse, to do a rings routine, it is considered that you need to do something 10,000 times. It ties into the 10,000 hour rule, but basically, until you've done a gymnastics move 10,000 times, you are highly unlikely to master it. And
it's interesting because I think people would agree with you. Of course, it's going to take lots and lots of failures in order to get better at a physical skill like that, at a sport like that. But when people are talking about themselves, they're usually a bit harsher on themselves and don't allow themselves the discomfort of failing.
Yes, it's a big problem in Australia, in life. Most people are taught that failing is bad. And here I've been talking about year 12, that failure is a bad thing. And I'm in my work as a passion provocateur and the teams that I've worked in, I keep driving this message that the road to improvement requires failure. Or another word for failure is mistakes. The road to improvement requires mistakes. And so coming to this question of belief, if we've beaten ourselves up in the past, I'm a failure, we say, I'm hopeless. One of the things that I would suggest is that our self-talk needs to improve. And I would suggest that it requires practice, it requires a new habit, that when we fail, we have a new internal dialogue that says, wow, I failed. I wonder what I've learnt, rather than I failed again, I'm useless.
Yeah, that's what it is. We tell ourselves I've failed, I'm useless, rather than I've failed, I'm getting better.
So the other question is when we've failed is to identify why we failed. So in golf terms, in gymnastics, there's often a coach there that says, "Oh, Julie, your leg was just in the wrong place." Oh, okay, that's what I'm going to focus on next time. For a golfer, all these incredible physics and angles and degrees come in, which orthodontists would know well, because the orthodontists have had to go through massive amounts of geometry to be able to read design mouths. So in life, however, we say, why did I fail in achieving a goal? So that's part of a mindset framework that says, okay, I'm sitting here now, it's July, am I willing to take the risk of failure? And I urge every listener to say, absolutely, I want to get better, therefore I need to be willing to fail. Good, let's accept that as a given. The next question is this belief about ourselves. And there is huge amounts of evidence available that indeed we are geniuses. The way I like to put it is we have each won the game of life, because every one of us who is alive is a winner. The sperm that made you, Julie, beat millions of other sperm in this incredible swimming race, swimming up the fallopian tubes, and bang, the fittest, healthiest, best sperm, a winning sperm made you.
Absolutely winning.
So that we are winners. And then we've from our life to date, we've had a whole bunch of feedback from school, from parents, from friends, from brothers and sisters, particularly, who are constantly putting us down. And we absorb all that feedback. We learn and we go, oh, okay, so I'm only, on a scale of 0 to 10, I'm only a 3. And then we come to July and we say, gosh, well, I'm only a 3, so my goals, that's what I believe I am. And one of the key decisions to make is to identify these beliefs. What do we believe about ourselves? So I would urge I would urge people to start thinking about what they believe about themselves, because that's going to be crucial in this goal-setting exercise. The other big thing on goals is there are two types of goals. There are outcome goals and there are process goals. An outcome goal is achieving a result. A process goal is taking action and then let's see what happens with the outcome. Again, golf and sport is a good example. You hear AFL football coaches saying, we will follow our process and the result will take care of itself.
Nice.
So in terms of a dental practice, if the goal is a certain amount of revenue, a big, hairy, audacious goal that says, let's double our revenue over the next year, you go, okay, there's a big goal. Or if you're doing it personally, I want to increase my income significantly. You've got to handle this mindset, this belief system, because if you don't believe it, then you won't take the steps. And then this question, well, okay, that's the outcome goal. I want to double my income. The question is, what processes do I need to put in? And Julie, you're very good on systems, but this is understanding that a goal is one or the other. It's process or outcome. And so you're saying, if I'm going to double my income, then I will need to increase my productivity, my practice productivity, and we'll need to improve our marketing, and we will need to do double what we've been doing or improve the effectiveness of what we've been doing. And then those steps that need to be taken are the process goals. In golf terms, the process goal is I will practice 4 hours a day, 7 days a week. That's a process goal. The outcome goal might be that I want to qualify for the British Open, but I'm not in charge of that. All I can control is my behavior. Or if you are a salesperson, you say my goal is to achieve a certain level of sales, or in a dental practice, conversion of treatment plans into treatment, that say, well, what process do I have to follow to increase that percentage? Because at the end of the day, I'm not in charge of saying, yes, I want the treatment. That's the patient. That's the patient's decision. But I am in charge of my process. And so I need to identify the process that I need to follow in terms of whatever goals that I think I want to achieve. And I think that's such an important distinction. Another distinction for busy professionals is if you want a great relationship with your children or your wife. Let's talk about wives. Huh? Let's say we've got
a great topic.
I love being married. And so you say, my goal is to have a great relationship with my wife. Well, what would that depend upon? And then you say, that's an outcome goal. So then I say, what process would I need to follow to have a great relationship? I know, to have dinner, take her out to a restaurant twice a week. And so that becomes the process goal, to go to dinner or a function with my wife twice a week. Does that make sense, that distinction?
Absolutely does. I love the distinction, because the stuff that's really strong in my mind, I keep being called back to that wonderful book title by Marshall Goldsmith, What Got You Here Won't Get You There. And if you're there, that's the outcome goal. It means you have to be different in your processes, with your default patterns, with your habits, your daily habits, because what your current habits have gotten you to is right here, right now. So if you've got a loftier goal than right here, right now, you have to shift your processes every day.
Yeah. So, and you have to shift them from what they were. You have to behave differently to how you are used to behaving. And of course, that makes us uncomfortable. Now, the comfort zone is what traps many of us. The achievement of more than just the same old requires that learning journey. The failing is uncomfortable. The blow to our ego is uncomfortable. And this is where our subconscious minds become so, if you like, such a barrier to achievement, because our subconscious mind is designed to keep us comfortable. It is designed to preserve and protect us. It is designed to keep us avoiding pain. Anything that looks like pain, you see, because fear is an expectation of pain. So anything that looks like pain, your subconscious mind says, you don't need to go there. Just stay here. It's comfortable here. And it becomes very seductive. And we need to understand how we can be fooled by the message from our subconscious mind that says, don't go through any pain. And my message is that going through pain is a wonderful process to embrace and to be aware of what the traps are of the lack of willpower. And I've shared with you elsewhere, what a powerful 2 words we have when we say, I will. I will follow this process to achieve this goal.
Not I will only if it's comfortable, only if the universe allows it to and makes it easy. But I will, regardless, I will.
And it's a good time when setting goals to think, to put ourselves into an empowered space. And so I recommend that the goal contemplation time, the goal setting time, is done after having contemplated your wins, your successes, the peak achievements of your life, and remind yourself of how you felt when you achieved the peak achievements of your life. Now, everyone has them. So for some people, they're different. For example, becoming the Prime Minister of Australia is a different peak achievement to becoming, the principal of a school or becoming a practice owner. It doesn't matter. It's how each one of us interprets that. And so our peak achievements are that I'm capable of great stuff. And that's when we set these goals. And then we say, I will take the steps. Now, the next principle is, why do you want these goals? So we've got the goal setting, we've got a big goal, little goal, you've got my view on that. Then we get in the right mindset. We look at our own beliefs. Then we understand the difference between process goals and outcome goals. Then we think about the trap of the comfort zone. So already look at how many issues we've already covered, in this question of goals.
And maybe that's part of the problem as well, is that people try to tackle all the issues at once rather than really identifying them down one at a time and putting some sort of helpful next step beside each one of those barriers that you've just been listing off as barriers.
Yes, well, these are the elements. So I think people need to join the club so that they're getting the regular reminders about what these barriers are. And we have to be willing to face these barriers step by step. The next barrier is, why do we want this goal? And there are many experts around the world, and I'm one of them, Julie, that says if your why is big enough, then the how is easy to work out. Let the how, the process, take care of itself if I know why I want to achieve that goal. And so when people say to me, I want to lose weight, as a good example, because over 60% of Australians are overweight or obese. And people say, I want to lose weight. I say, why? And most people's answer to that question is nowhere near empowering. And so if there's not a big enough why, then the comfort zone takes over. The subconscious, look, there's no point. What's the point? All you're doing is being an ego freak by trying to look good. And so I urge listeners, everybody, to get really clear on all of their goals, why they want to achieve them. Why do you want a good relationship with your wife? Why do you want to double your income? Why do you want to build a magnificent practice 5 years down the track? What's the driver? And you have talked about the 5 whys question. So remind us of the 5 whys, because that's a powerful resource when we come to this point.
The 5 whys is a Japanese process it was used originally in management and production of goods, that if anything went wrong, they asked the question why 5 times, because after the 5th time, you're actually at the source of the why, of what actually did go wrong. Whereas the surface level why, why did you not perform, and why didn't we get the result that we wanted? Because this other staff member let me down, or because, the sun was out today rather than it be raining today. But when you say, but why, with many elements of our life, troubling elements of our life, we get to the actual core reason behind it when we ask more deeply into the situation. So asking why 5 times is a helpful process.
So if we because we're talking about a business, it's a business podcast, we say, I want better business results. I want double the income from my practice. Why? What might be an answer to that?
Because I want to have a higher level of achievement amongst my colleagues.
Why would you want that?
Because I'd rather feel better about myself than I do right now.
And why do you want to feel better about yourself?
Because I'm sick of feeling like I don't achieve as much as the people around me.
And why do you feel that way?
That's where I'm getting my sense of worth from.
Nice. So that's the sort of depth, and it becomes really. It's often good to have a partner here. It's quite soul opening. One of the issues, we could go down a slightly different route that says, why I want more money so that I can pay off my debt. Why do I want to pay off my debt? So I'm not stressed. Why don't you want to be stressed? Because I want to be able to freely go and live life as I want. Why do you want to do that? Because I want to feel I'm in control. So, it can be a deep, and when we identify the answers to those 5 whys, it becomes very empowering. It says, that's why I'm doing that. So when the temptation to come to, when the subconscious mind says, be comfortable, Julie, say, no, I've got a much, much bigger why than being momentarily uncomfortable. I will embrace the discomfort.
And can I also ask, with the why, and you and I have experienced it and spoken about it in the past when you've done Tony Robbins' Unleash the Power Within on numerous occasions. The first time I did it was when it was an online event last year. And a compelling aspect to that, which I then experienced again with Jordan Peterson's self-authoring. So if anyone's interested in this after I speak about it, go to selfauthoring.com. I'll leave the address in the link in the show notes. That if you didn't reach your goals, if you didn't change your habits, your behaviours, and actually reach your goals, in 5 years, what would your life look like? And the process encourages you to identify the disappointment you would feel within yourself, the regret that you would feel within yourself, that you have allowed your life to go down a particular path, even though you chose and wanted for something far better, and to really feel that life, to really look at that life. And it has been an enormous influencer for my big why. Why do I want to achieve my goals? Because there's no way I want that life. No. Does that tap into the compelling why as well, that I just don't want the alternative?
Absolutely. When you future pace, to use the neuro-linguistic programming term, future pace your life 5 years, 10 years, 25 years out, and imagine what it's like if you are mediocre and unmotivated and ill-disciplined, lacking discipline. That if you paint a powerful enough picture, that becomes a very powerful why, that I don't want that. I hate that. I'll run a million miles away from that. And that drives the willpower to follow the process to achieve the big positive goals, the opposite of that. Yes.
Nice.
Now, the next area is, in terms of goals, is if we're talking about a dental practice team or any business team, If you're an owner and you have big goals for the practice, then one of the keys is to engage the team in the goals for the practice. And it is important, the most important process, the most important factor in success here is that the team members can see the benefits for them of being part of a winning team, of achieving goals, but secondly, that they actually believe the goals are possible. So belief is so powerful. So it is important to have this discussion with the team members. Do you believe these big goals are achievable? And you ask the team members to be honest. Do you believe it's possible? No, I don't believe it's possible. Or I'm doubtful. You need to explore. And that could be gold. Is why do you think it's doubtful? Well, because when you're not here, I know how everybody slacks off and there's no way people will change their behaviour. And so I just don't think it's possible with what you're laying out for us. So getting that team engagement is a crucial element.
I do think there'd be a lot of dentists and practice managers out there saying that's exactly what we're afraid of. We're afraid of establishing a goal, putting a goal in place and then having to drag everybody towards that goal.
So there has to be a big what's in it for me for the team members to understand why they should commit to this. So that's the first question. Do they want to commit to it? You have to paint that picture with them. And that could be a team building program, a goal setting exercise that gets facilitated for the team. And then comes the question of belief. And I remember I did work for a BMW. I was dealing with the whole leadership team, and the current state of play in the organisation was 54,000 live contracts, and the goal was to get to 100,000 live contracts. And I said to the CEO, I want you to explain to the team why you think it's possible to grow from 54,000 to 100,000 in the next 2 years. And so he went through the numbers that ran around his head that he'd never shared with the team before. He just thought he knew it was possible. So he shared them with the team, and they achieved that goal in 18 months. So it was a magnificent shift because he shared the basis for his belief. And, of course, that's what leadership is about. You know, if you're going into battle, we started off this conversation by going into battle. If you're going into battle, you have to inspire confidence in the people that you're with. Hey, we can do this. So that's an important game to play as a leader.
And it calls back to the Daniel Pink book, Drive, that indeed one of our drivers as a human being is that we want to be working towards a purpose that is greater than ourselves. So if you are establishing grand goals for your dental practice, speak with your team about the purpose that you can all be, that can be driving you all towards that goal, that shared purpose.
Absolutely. And understanding. Now, there are some people who don't understand what this bigger game is. Well, that's what education is about. That's what teachers have to do with kids in year 9, 10, 11 about inspiring them. And that's what great teachers do, inspire. That's what great leaders do. They inspire the people around them to come on this journey because you will become far greater than you ever dreamed yourself to be, to quote Patanjali. Now, the next element of goals, and I think this will be the last major area, I think, because time is marching on. I think, there are some other elements we can go to. You might have some questions that arise, so I'm happy to do that, but I don't want to talk about too many elements. I think it's quite clear what we've covered so far. The next element is the types of goals, and I recommend that people have goals in 3 categories of mental goals, physical goals, and spiritual goals. So mental goals, physical and spiritual for yourself, and then for your business, for your practice. Then people then say, well, what does that actually mean? Well, at a personal level, in physical terms, it is a function of your health. It's a function of your weight. It's a function of your fitness. It's a function of the physical things around you. So a physical goal might be to sell your home and buy another one. A goal might be to run a marathon. A goal might be to burn 10 kilograms of fat, because I like to say burn fat rather than lose weight. It might be to get a whole new wardrobe. It might be to get a new car. So they're the types of physical goals. At a mental level, the mental goals are what I call the income goals. I want to double my income. That's a mental goal. That will enable me to achieve my physical goals, but it's really a mental goal to improve my skills, to have certain experiences. And then spiritual goals relate to our soul, our spirit, our heart. And that relates to relationships with family, relationships with friends, your contribution to community, your self-awareness journey. For example, you could have a process goal for spiritual matters of attending yoga every week, going to your church every week. It could mean becoming a member of the local church committee. It could be at a spiritual level, it could be forgiving. You know, you might have lots of problematic relationships. It could be relating to forgiving other people because your failure to forgive has put you into this unhelpful mental state. So there's spiritual goals, mental goals, physical goals personally. At an organizational level, at a dental practice, let's focus on a dental practice. So physical, mental, and spiritual goals. So then we go, that's interesting. So the physical goals would relate to the physical environment. So that might mean new premises. It might mean a revamp of the premises. It might be installing a couple of extra chairs, because that then ties in to the mental goals of the practice, which are revenue goals, system goals. See, the mental side of the business is the processes and systems that we follow and go, okay, we can improve. Our mental goals will be to improve all of those systems and the training and the skill level of people. And then, what do you think are the spiritual goals for a practice?
My first thought would be culture, the culture of the team.
Nice, excellent.
Maybe the way we're making up.
And the relationships between team members, our purpose, our values. So the spiritual goals, you start thinking of spiritual goals in terms of the human dynamics, and then the level of caring amongst the team members, and then the level of caring for our patients. And then we go, how would we measure? So there's a goal, because goals, you know, the big picture is SMART. I like the SMART acronym, and the SMART stands for specific, measurable, action-oriented, realistic, and time-based. So they're helpful in terms of articulating goals, particularly process goals, because, again, the outcome goals are often a result of the process. So by having the mental, the physical, and the spiritual goals for the practice, we start to understand that a dental practice is all about the people who are in the practice, the people who are impacted by the practice. And when we understand that and we set goals, that helps us to focus on much more than the performance of particular team members and the achievement of particular productivity outcomes. Because I say that it's spiritual energy that drives outrageous success. Without that spiritual energy, the success is not sustainable. And that applies to us personally as well. And that's why I'm a passion provocateur, because when we're passionate, we're accessing unlimited energy from our soul, our spirit, our heart, that enables us to play this game at a high level to embrace the challenge that big goals impose on us, so that at the end of our journey of a particular period of time, we go, wow, that was fantastic. And guess where that takes you? That takes you to the place where you have overcome all of your problems, you have achieved these amazing goals, and then as human beings, our reward for achieving those amazing goals and overcoming all of the problems is bigger problems.
How exciting.
How exciting. You've passed year 11, your reward is year 12. You pass year 12, your reward is university. So this is the mindset, coming right back to where we started with mindset, saying, wow, what a gift we have of life. Let's play a game. We've got a set of goals, knowing that as we improve, all we're going to do in our next goal-setting exercise is to embrace bigger goals. But the point is this: success is not the achievement of the goals. Success is the progressive realization of the worthy ideal that lies behind the setting of those goals. There's a worthy ideal of you as the goal setter living a worthwhile, meaningful, fulfilling life and embracing this gift of life that we've each been given.
Gosh, that is absolutely glorious. That's wonderful. I'm sure our listeners will be thinking quite differently about their goal setting and their contribution to life via their dental practices and the way they manage their teams and patients because of this interview. Thank you so very much for being involved in this episode, Charles. Hugely valuable. Well, I hope you found that episode with Charles Kovess interesting and triggering, wanting it to trigger and entice you to establish some really great goals for 2022. And as I said at the start of the podcast, if you'd like to join me with the 3-hour workshop, just jump on the website and register now. It's just $49 to register your place, and you come out with a very clear plan for 2022 for both your personal goals and your practice goals. So just go to the website julieparkerpracticesuccess.com or .com.au. They both go to the same place, and I hope to see you there.